Everything starts with journalist Mattia, who investigates a child trafficking ring operating with total impunity in a city in Southeast Asia. While walking through a dark hallway, she hears a child crying. When she looks through an opening, she discovers that he is being brutally beaten. Without thinking twice, she bursts into the room and confronts the attacker. A security guard watches the confrontation through the surveillance cameras and radios in an alert about an intruder. When Mattia steps outside, she is attacked by several men. While fighting them off, she tells the child to run away. Although she manages to take down several attackers, Tak, an expert with the kukri and bow, fires an arrow that kills the child. Then Paklung appears, the leader of the criminal organization, and blames Mattia for the boy's death. With absolute coldness, he says it doesn't matter because they can always get another kid, and he orders his men to capture her so they can find out what she was doing there. Months later, we meet Wang, a skilled handyman, mute and widowed, who builds a device to train kung fu. After finishing, he goes upstairs and finds his daughter, Rainy, asleep. She wakes up, asks where he is going, and Wang answers with gestures that he has to work. Rainy asks to go with him, and he agrees with a smile. At the shop, Wang works while Rainy records a video saying that her dad is still busy fixing a pipe. Later, she reminds him that in 2 days, she will be returning to China and that if he doesn't keep his promise, he might not get another chance. She also suggests that he leave with her. After leaving work, a group of young guys walks into the place and treats some elderly people with disrespect. On the way home, Rainy criticizes their behavior, but Wang signs back that it's none of their business. She calls him out for always avoiding trouble and adds that both she and her grandma could move there to help him, although Wang stays quiet. Meanwhile, we meet Navin, who meets with a thug at a fast food restaurant. He tells him he found a buyer who needs 30 kids, hands him money, and asks him to set up a meeting with his boss. At the same time, Rainy practices kung fu when a report about Mattia Fan airs on TV. Before disappearing, the journalist stated during a live broadcast that several child kidnappings were connected. Although the police consider them separate cases, the investigation reveals a pattern pointing to a criminal organization dedicated to trafficking children from vulnerable communities. During training, Rainy hits her head. Wang tries to help her, but frustrated, she walks away without saying a word. He signs to her that she needs to keep training for her own good, though she decides to ignore him. Meanwhile, Navin arrives at a secluded place, gets inside his van, and reviews the recording of the conversation he had with the thug. Since Mattia disappeared, he has dedicated his life to infiltrating the trafficking network to find those responsible and discover what happened to her. The next morning, Wang takes Rainy to the barber shop. While they cut her hair, she complains because she doesn't want it that short. Wang signs to her that she'll feel less hot that way, reminds her that she liked that style when she was little, and says it'll be more practical for kung fu training. However, Rainy replies that she doesn't practice kung fu anymore because her classmates say she looks like a tomboy and that nobody will ever like her. Wang explains that knowing how to defend herself is more important than being pretty, since he won't be able to protect her forever. Rainy tells him that, if that's true, he's never by her side anyway. She confesses that she used to enjoy training because she did it with him, and what she really misses isn't kung fu, but spending time with her father. Then she asks him to be present in her life again, but Wang only lowers his head in silence. Sadly, Rainy tells him that her mother died and that, in some way, he abandoned her too. She then walks out of the barbershop angry. Wang tries to stop her, but she yells that he doesn't love her before leaving. While walking alone, Rainy runs into a Chinese boy who is limping. The little boy asks if she speaks Chinese and tells her that his sister was hit by a car, that his parents aren't home, and that he needs help. Rainy agrees to go with him, but it's all a trap. The boy leads her to a secluded place where several traffickers kidnap her. They cover her head with a bag, restrain her, and throw her into the back of a truck. Then the thug who spoke with Navin earlier shows up and scolds the boy for bringing back only one victim. At that moment, Wang arrives at the location and sees the criminal loading the kid onto the truck. He immediately realizes Rainy has been kidnapped and desperately runs after the vehicle, looking for shortcuts to catch up. Finally, Wang manages to climb into the truck's cabin, pulls the brake, and throws the key away to stop the escape. However, Ho, one of the traffickers, knocks him down with a brutal hit. A fierce fight breaks out, and Wang knocks one of the criminals unconscious with a metal cylinder. Then he runs toward the back and finds Rainy unconscious beneath several plastic bags. At that moment, Ho appears carrying a heavy concrete hammer and tries to crush him. Wang dodges the blow, but Ho throws him out of the truck. Taking advantage of the opportunity, the traffickers start driving again and escape with Rainy. Wang recovers and goes back after the truck. Rainy wakes up and is about to fall off the vehicle, but Ho grabs her by the feet, leaving her hanging upside down while threatening to drag her across the pavement. Desperate, Wang tries to catch up with them, but a speeding car runs him over. Even while injured, he manages to get back up, although the truck has already disappeared. In that condition, Wang immediately arrives at the police station. A police officer, seeing him badly injured, asks if he is okay. Wang writes that his daughter was kidnapped by two men, one tall and bald, and the other with an afro, and he also writes down the description of the truck and the license plate number. However, the officer tells him that he has to wait his turn to file the report. Desperate, Wang insists in writing that they check the security cameras because there is no time to waste. The police officer tells him to calm down, but Wang, frustrated, slams his fist on the table, drawing everyone's attention. The officer reprimands him for his behavior. At that moment, Officer Yadong steps in and asks what is going on. After learning about the kidnapping, she takes Wang's papers and asks him to come with her. Shortly after, she informs the station chief that Wang has the truck's license plate number and a description of the kidnappers. However, the chief insists that they must follow procedure and promises to notify him if there are any updates. Outraged, Wang prepares to leave, but before doing so, he notices a wall covered with photographs of missing children. Meanwhile, Rainy wakes up locked inside a holding cell with other children. At the same time, Wang returns home to clean himself up. Meanwhile, Yadong checks his records and discovers he has no license, employment history, or criminal record. It's like he appeared out of nowhere. Another officer even suspects he could be a fugitive. Convinced that the police won't act fast enough, Wang decides to search for his daughter on his own. He grabs a hammer, keeps a card with Rainy's photograph, and remembers seeing some tickets for a boxing ring during his fight with Ho, so he heads to Song's fight club. At that place, Navin is also there, and he manages to meet with Song. Song asks him how many children he needs, and Navin answers that he needs 30 by the weekend. He explains that they will be sent to a partner's shrimp boat at the harbor and offers to pay 3 times the usual price in cash. The offer surprises Song, unaware that the entire conversation is being recorded with a hidden camera. Finally, Navin adds one condition. He wants to personally choose the children. Song refuses and tells him this isn't some kind of market where he can pick whoever he wants. Then, becoming suspicious, he asks who he really is, calls him stupid, and suspects he might be a cop. Navin stays calm and replies that he is nothing more than a simple messenger, adding that Song is only wasting his time. For a few moments, tension takes over the room. However, unexpectedly, Song bursts into laughter, completely easing the hostility of the moment. Meanwhile, the security staff prevents Wang from going up the stairs. At that moment, one of the traffickers comes down and immediately recognizes him. Without wasting a second, the two of them get into a brutal fight. Thanks to his impressive kung fu skills, Wang quickly gains the upper hand and defeats all of his opponents within seconds. Then, Wang shows the man Rainy's photograph, but the guy throws a bottle at him to distract him and manages to escape while yelling for everyone to catch Wang. Right after that, he jumps onto the bar, grabs a microphone, and loudly announces that the man is armed, pointing at Wang. Panicked, everyone inside starts running around desperately. Taking advantage of the chaos, the guy approaches the boxers, asks if they want to make money, and orders them to kill Wang. Meanwhile, one of the traffickers' henchmen bursts into the room where Navin and Song are meeting to inform them that there is an armed man inside the club. Right away, Song connects the situation to Navin. He assures him that he has nothing to do with what's happening, but Song doesn't believe him and orders his men to take him out. Cornered by the thugs, Navin reveals his true skills and proves to be a formidable fighter. At the same time, Wang dodges the attacks from everyone around him and runs down the stairs, where he encounters another group of men. After confronting and defeating them, he continues chasing the trafficker until he corners him on the ring. There, he manages to grab him by the neck and starts choking him, but a couple of boxers step in to stop him, allowing the criminal to escape after locking them inside the ring. Without wasting any time, Wang takes down the boxers, and when more men burst into the place, he pulls out his hammer and defeats them one after another. He then leaves the ring, catches up with the trafficker again, and grabs him by the neck once more. However, another attacker gets in his way and forces him to fight, giving the thug the perfect chance to escape once again. During the getaway, the trafficker runs into Navin, who throws him off the top of the building. Shortly after, Wang goes after Navin. He runs to the surveillance room, where he downloads all of Song's information onto a flash drive. Moments later, Wang sets up an ambush, and the two of them begin fighting. In the middle of the fight, Navin catches sight of Rainey's photograph and realizes that Wang is not part of the criminal organization. Just like him, he is searching for someone. He then explains that he doesn't work for the traffickers either, and that he is also trying to find a person. Navin quickly removes the flash drive with the intention of leaving, but Wang stops him because he wants to keep the device. Navin refuses to hand it over, although he suggests that they review the information on it together. Convinced that they are both chasing the same goal, Wang agrees, and the two of them leave the place connected by an improvised alliance. Meanwhile, Song takes his anger out on the thug and violently attacks him in front of his own son. He blames him for allowing an undercover agent to enter his club, and consumed by rage, finally orders his men to take him out. Everything happens in front of the child, who turns out to be the same one who tricked Rainey and led her straight into the trap that ended with her kidnapping. After what happened, the child is taken back to the holding cell where the other minors remain locked up. When he enters, Rainey approaches him and reminds him that she was the one who helped him before. With obvious pain and confusion, she asks him why he decided to do something like that to her, but the child stays silent and doesn't answer. Rainey, desperate to get an explanation, keeps insisting and demands an answer. Then she asks him if he really thinks the kidnappers are gonna leave him alone, or if he actually believes they will send him back home after he kept tricking more children and handing them over to the traffickers. Instead of showing any regret, the child tells her that she is a fool. After hearing those words, the two of them start fighting physically, but the other children quickly step in and manage to separate them before things get worse. The noise from the fight, the shouting, and the chaos inside the holding cell catch the attention of one of the traffickers' henchmen, who approaches to find out what is happening. Taking advantage of a moment of distraction, Rainey tries to escape, but at that moment, Ho suddenly appears and kicks her, knocking her down. The man gets ready to keep attacking her with even more violence, but another one of the henchmen steps in and manages to stop him before he can hurt her any further. Wang and Navin are inside the van. Navin, clearly annoyed, complains to Wang that he has ruined 2 months of work and demands that he say something already. However, after a few seconds, he realizes that Wang is mute and understands why he hasn't answered. While reviewing the recordings, Wang stops the playback when he recognizes Ho among the footage. Navin explains that Song adopted Ho when he was a kid, and that, over time, he forced him to fight in the ring just for his own entertainment, a situation that seriously affected his mind. Then he shows him who Song is, and asks Wang if he knows him, but he answers that he doesn't. After that, Navin opens the back of his van and reveals that Mr. Song is a human trafficker. There, he shows him all the information his wife, the journalist, had gathered about the trafficking network she was investigating. However, during her investigation, she mysteriously disappeared. Navin shows him a photograph where he appears standing beside her. In response, Wang shows him a picture of his daughter Rainey. Navin understands the situation and explains that his wife had discovered Song was the one behind the kidnappings. According to her investigation, Song was in charge of transporting the children while carefully selecting the interested buyers. Wang carefully looks through all the photographs and documents collected by the journalist until he recognizes an important detail. The same truck that took Rainey appears in one of the pieces of evidence. The two of them replay the footage again and discover that the vehicle belongs to an ice factory. Navin tells Wang that the place is about an hour away. Without wasting any more time, they get ready and head toward the factory. They both arrive at the location, and Wang is determined to get out of the van immediately. But Navin stops him and warns him that if he truly wants to see his daughter again, he can't act recklessly. Desperate, Wang writes on a piece of paper that there is no time to waste and that they have to move as soon as possible. Then he suggests that they split up and attack from 2 different sides to increase their chances of success. Without waiting any longer, Wang gets out of the vehicle and takes on the thugs guarding the entrance. Meanwhile, Navin manages to sneak into the factory, where he discovers a terrifying scene. Several people frozen inside a cold storage room. However, before he can investigate any further, Ho appears from behind and attacks him by surprise. The two of them begin an intense fight. While outside, Wang continues holding his ground against several men trying to stop him. At that moment, Song appears armed with a shotgun and opens fire on on Wang. To protect himself, Wang takes shelter inside a chamber filled with massive blocks of ice. Suddenly, Navin appears and takes advantage of the opportunity to knock several blocks down onto Song, leaving him unconscious. The move enrages Ho, who charges at Navin with a hammer. Despite the danger, Navin manages to defend himself, and with Wang's help, they manage to defeat him. However, Ho shows incredible endurance and gets back on his feet, forcing both men to prepare for another confrontation. In the middle of the fight, Ho strikes Wang with tremendous force and sends him crashing through the floor, causing him to fall directly into the holding cell where the children had been kept. There, Wang finds Rainey's blood-stained coat and, believing something terrible may have happened to his daughter, begins crying uncontrollably. Meanwhile, at the top of the factory, Ho brutally hits Navin with the hammer, leaving him badly injured. As he moves closer to finish him off, Wang appears once again, consumed by rage and pain, ready to face him. The two of them begin a fierce battle, in which Wang manages to take the massive hammer away from Ho. With all his strength, he delivers a direct blow to his head, leaving him staggering until he finally collapses to the ground. Seeing him defenseless, Wang loses control and starts repeatedly punching him in the face, over and over again, releasing all the anger he has been carrying since his daughter's disappearance. However, Navin manages to get back up and stops Wang before he crosses a line he can't come back from. Wang, still blinded by fury, grabs the shotgun with the intention of finishing Ho off, but Navin steps in once again. Navin reminds him that Ho is the only lead they have to find Rainey, and that killing him won't bring his daughter back. He also assures him that there is still a chance she is alive, and that they are closer than ever to finding her. His words manage to stop Wang. On the other hand, we see Pak Lung with his pregnant wife when he receives a call informing him that problems have come up at his father-in-law's factory and that a mute Chinese man is looking for his daughter. The call comes from the police captain, who also tells him that Song is not answering his calls or picking up his phone, increasing the concern over the situation. Later, Pak Lung meets with the investors and explains that after the club raid, he made the decision to move the merchandise somewhere else to avoid greater risks. He admits that there were several casualties during the operation, but assures them that what truly matters is that the shipment was not lost. The investment remains safe, and all additional expenses will be covered from his own profits. Meanwhile, Wang and Navin keep Song captive. They put him through intense torture with electric shocks until he finally reveals that the children were taken to a place known as the Snake Pit. On the other hand, Rainey tries to escape, but the crippled boy explains that there is no possible way out. He tells her that he lost the use of one of his legs because he also tried to escape in the past, and that, on top of that, he no longer has a family, since the traffickers killed everyone he loved. Rainey tells him that if she manages to find a way out, he can leave with her. Shortly after, she notices a metal box. She takes a coin and starts unscrewing it patiently, looking for a way to turn it into a tool that can help them get out of that place. Meanwhile, Song tries to escape, but Pak Lung and Tak arrive at the location with the intention of executing him and silencing him for good. At the same time, Wang and Navin manage to reach the Snake Pit, where they discover the refrigerated truck used by the traffickers. Inside the facility, Rainey continues working on the metal box, carefully sharpening one of its edges until she turns it into an improvised weapon that can help her defend herself. When one of the traffickers enters the holding cell, she takes the opportunity to attack him by surprise and immediately encourages all the children to escape with her before they can be discovered again. Meanwhile, Wang and Navin break into the building to rescue the children and confront those responsible for the place. Navin starts a live broadcast from Mattia's account, explaining that she had discovered they were holding several children captive at that place, and that he suspects she could be there as well. The broadcast quickly begins spreading everywhere and eventually reaches Officer Yadong, who manages to see it. However, most of the children are captured again by the traffickers before they can escape. Realizing what happened, Rainey decides to go back and try to help them, but she is discovered by her captors and is forced to run. Although she runs with all her strength to get to safety, she is finally caught, captured once again, and brutally beaten. At that exact moment, Wang bursts into the place and starts fighting the traffickers, striking them with determination. Finally, father and daughter are reunited and share an emotional embrace. Wang, Navin, and Rainey are about to leave, since more criminals are approaching, ready to attack them. However, Rainey reminds Wang that there are still many children trapped inside, and that all of them have been captured again. She is convinced that the traffickers will beat them to death and blames herself for encouraging them to try to escape. Because of this, Navin assures them that he will take care of rescuing them and asks Rainey to go back home with her father. Meanwhile, the police captain orders his officers to stop the public from getting involved, just as more traffickers arrive at the location to confront Navin. However, when Wang and Rainey are already getting ready to leave, Wang notices the huge number of criminals surrounding the building. Seeing the situation, Rainey manages to convince him to go back and help Navin and free the children who are still being held captive. The two of them get on a motorcycle and break into the place again. As they move through the enemies, Rainey, without even getting off the vehicle, starts taking down every trafficker who crosses her path with skill, proving once again her courage and determination. While Wang and Navin continue fighting against the criminals, Rainey comes up with a plan to help the children escape through one of the building's windows. However, the height is considerable, making the descent difficult. Because of this, the crippled boy improvises a rope using a large piece of fabric, and everyone starts climbing down one after another very carefully. At that moment, Officer Yadong decides to overrule the police captain, while the rest of the officers and the people outside rush in to step forward and provide them with help. All the children manage to get down safely, except for Rainey and the crippled boy. He helps Rainey descend first, but the fabric ends up breaking under the weight. When she is about to fall into the void, the people gathered below manage to break her fall and get her to safety. At the same time, Yadong shoots one of the traffickers to protect the crippled boy's life. Finally, the traffickers who remain alive are arrested by the authorities. Later, Navin shows Officer Yadong a photograph of Mattia and asks her if she managed to find her inside the building. He explains that she is the journalist who was investigating the case, but Yadong tells him that she was unable to locate her there. On the other hand, Paklung receives a call from his wife and immediately heads to the family mansion. There, she informs him that her father wants to speak with him and that all of his partners are already gathered, waiting for him. Confused by the situation, his wife asks him what is going on, but he tells her that everything is fine. During the meeting, those present inform Paklung that the police captain plans to arrest him soon, only to keep up appearances and avoid raising suspicion. At that moment, his father-in-law confesses that he feels deep contempt for him. He assures him that he could have accepted him being involved in weapons trafficking or illegal substances, but he never imagined that he could be part of a network dedicated to child trafficking. Consumed by rage, Paklung completely loses control. He rips off one of his partner's fingers and, right after that, kills the police captain and several of the people at the meeting. Finally, he also takes the life of his own father-in-law. Shortly after, more men storm into the room intending to arrest him, but Paklung responds by attacking them with uncontrolled violence. In the middle of the confrontation and overwhelmed by desperation, he ends up accidentally killing his pregnant wife. Later, the children manage to reunite with their families at the police station, where they finally get to be with their loved ones again, after the terrible experience they went through. Officer Yadong explains to Wang that he has to sign his statement and that she can personally confirm his actions were carried out in self-defense. However, she makes it clear that he cannot be released until the bail hearing scheduled for the next morning, so he will have to remain in custody throughout the night. Meanwhile, Ho wakes up and discovers Song's body. At the same time, Wang and Navin spend the night inside the police station's cells. There, Navin thanks Wang for coming back to help him, because thanks to that decision, they managed to rescue many of the children who were in danger. He also confesses that several times he insisted that he and his wife leave everything behind and start a new life as a peaceful family somewhere else. But she always refused because she was completely determined to keep fighting to rescue those children. Later, Paklung and Tak arrive outside the police station with the intention of taking revenge for what happened. Tak enters the place armed with a bow and several arrows, kills most of the police officers present, and incapacitates Officer Yadong as revenge for the recent events. Wang and Navin manage to escape from the cell to protect Rainey and the crippled boy. While the two of them face Paklung and Tak, the latter fires an arrow that hits Rainey in the leg and causes a serious injury. Despite the pain, she and the boy manage to get to safety, while the fight continues with even greater intensity. In the middle of the chaos, Ho appears and attacks Paklung in order to avenge Song's death, starting a violent and out-of-control battle between everyone present. While Navin fights Tak, a ring falls to the ground during their struggle. When he picks it up, Navin discovers that it belongs to Mattia, confirming his worst suspicions. Cornered and with no way to escape, Tak finally admits that he took part in Mattia's murder. Consumed by anger and pain, Navin throws himself at him with all his strength. Although Tak manages to stab him several times with fatal wounds, Navin manages to bite his neck with desperate ferocity, causing him a deadly injury as well. Finally, both of them are left severely wounded and end up succumbing to their injuries, dying after the brutal confrontation. For his part, Pak Lung kills Ho and then goes after Rainy and the crippled boy. However, Wang manages to intercept him, and the two of them end up falling from the top of the building while still caught in a fierce fight. During the fall and the brutal confrontation, Pak Lung manages to knock Wang unconscious, although before that he takes several devastating blows to the head that begin to weaken him. Rainy and the crippled boy prepare to defend Wang and face the danger once again. However, their intervention is no longer necessary. Due to the severe concussions he suffered during the fight, Pak Lung finally loses his life and falls dead in front of them. 1 month later, Wang, Rainy, the crippled boy, and Officer Yadong gather to scatter Navin's ashes into the sea, while also paying an emotional tribute to Mattia and remembering her sacrifice. In a flashback, it is revealed that while they were both being held at the police station, Wang confessed his real name to Navin for the first time, leaving behind part of the mystery that surrounded him. After saying goodbye to Navin, Rainy asks Wang if he can tell her his whole story. He agrees and begins telling her the events starting from the day he met Rainy's mother. In this way, the movie comes to an end. This video is powered by the elite members of Full Movie Recaps, the ones who keep this channel running and get access to everything before the rest of the world. As an elite, you don't wait. You don't deal with ads. You watch recaps of movies still in theaters, sometimes even before they release in your country. You get to request the recap you want, unlock a private library of exclusive videos, and most importantly, see your name in the credits as one of the real supporters who make this possible. Most viewers are always behind, but elite members are ahead of everyone. Hit join now and step into the elite.